In this video, we're looking at traffic patterns in the Cessna 172. A traffic pattern controls flow into and out of an airport. Turns should be made to the left unless indicated otherwise. An operating control tower gives clearance to approach or depart, information about the traffic pattern, and it can give instructions to enter the traffic pattern or make a straighten approach. Tune to 80s for information on landing conditions, set the altimeter correctly, and set the heading bug on the directional gyro or heading indicator to the runway heading to help fly a square pattern, especially at night. Without a control tower, the pilot is responsible for determining the direction of the traffic pattern, following the appropriate traffic rules, and maintaining airspeed below 200 knots. An L-shaped pattern indicator may be adjacent to the runway. The short member of the L indicates the pattern turn direction. Before entering the airport traffic area, tune and verify radio frequencies and report your position 10 miles out. Report when entering downwind, turning downwind to base, base to final, and maintain a visual scan for other aircraft. The traffic pattern is entered at a 45-degree angle to the downwind leg, joining the pattern abeam the midpoint of the runway. The pilot should be aware of the traffic pattern altitude and remain clear of the traffic flow until established on the downwind leg. Descending while entering the pattern is a collision hazard and should be avoided. Airspeed recommended by the aircraft manufacturer should be used. Airspeed is generally between 70 to 80 knots for fixed gear single engine aircraft and 80 to 90 knots for high performance aircraft with retractable landing gear. On the downwind leg, do not exceed the top of the flap operating range and fly no slower than 1.4 times the calibrated stall speed at its landing weight. The lower end of the white arc on the airspeed indicator indicates stall speed for maximum landing weight at the most unfavourable CG and within the allowable loading range. If encountering turbulence, wind gusts or wind shear, increase airspeed to compensate. Traffic pattern altitude is usually 1000 feet AGL. The downwind leg is flown parallel to the runway at a distance of approximately 1/2 to 1 mile. To maintain correct distance, place the runway centerline at a specific point on the wing leading edge or the strut of a high wing aircraft. Set the fuel selector to the fullest tank, align the directional gyro with the magnetic compass, set mixture to full rich, unless the airport is above 3000 feet MSL, and set cowl flaps as required. Perform a gump check, gas, undercarriage, mixture, and prop. Pattern altitude is maintained until abeam the approach end of the runway. Before landing checks are now complete, retractable landing gear is lowered, partial flaps are set, and the aircraft is trimmed for airspeed. Always extend landing gear at a standard point in the pattern. Check the gear indicator for the down and locked position and say gear down, down and locked, or free in the green. Power is reduced to begin the descent, and at a point approximately 45 degrees from the runway approach, a medium bank turn of 30 degrees or less is made to the base leg. When other traffic is in the pattern, turn to base when the preceding aircraft turns onto final and passes behind your wing. The base leg is the transition between the downwind and final approach legs and is flown perpendicular to the centerline of the runway. If required, to increase descent rate, reduce power, or further extend flaps. When extending flaps, add power as required to maintain selected glide path. At a targeted airspeed, adding power makes the glide path shallower, while reducing power makes it steeper. Maintain airspeed and glide path by adjusting pitch and power together. Do not allow the aircraft to fall below the glide path, and do not allow airspeed to decay below the targeted airspeed. The final approach leg is a descending flight path from the base leg to touchdown. The aim point is a reference point at the end of the selected glide path. The aim point is not the actual touchdown point. If the aim point is moving towards you, the aircraft will overshoot that point. If the aim point is moving away from you, the aircraft will undershoot. The aim point should remain in a constant position. Use a series of imaginary windows on approach as reference points. The first should be just after turning final, and the last is at the runway threshold, when the aircraft should be at the required airspeed and height to complete the landing. Extend full flaps when landing is assured. Full flaps are used for all normal landings. Allow airspeed to decay to VSO 1.3 on short final. The recommended approach speed for twin-engine aircraft is at or above VYSE. VYSE is the best single-engine rate of climb speed, which may be greater than 1.3 VSO. Take advantage of PAPI or VASI guidance where available, and recheck for free green on short final. A go-around is initiated if the pilot doubts that a safe touchdown and rollout is possible. To initiate a go-around, the pilot transitions from the final approach to the climb altitude and starts a shallow bank turn to the upwind side of the runway. Trim to maintain proper pitch control, establish a positive rate of climb, slowly retract flaps, and after establishing a positive climb, retract landing gear. As speed increases, accelerate past best angle to best rate of climb speed and adjust cowl flaps as required. Manage power, pitch, fly the aircraft, clean it up, then communicate. The upwind leg is flown at controlled airports and after go-arounds. A 90-degree turn is made to enter the crosswind leg. The crosswind leg is flown perpendicular to the runway, and the pilot continues on the crosswind leg to the downwind leg. The departure leg begins when the aircraft leaves the ground and continues until turning onto the crosswind leg. The pilot climbs straight ahead, and if remaining in the traffic pattern, turns onto the crosswind leg when within 300 feet of the traffic pattern altitude. If departing, the pilot continues straight out or exits with a 45-degree turn. The turn is made to the left in a left-hand traffic pattern or to the right in a right-hand pattern after reaching the traffic pattern altitude. As always, feel free to like, comment and subscribe.